Hello BookTube! It's been a while since my last video and I apologize for that. I mentioned on Twitter, if you happen to follow me on Twitter, that it's been kind of rough with Skippy. She's getting older. She's like 18 and I don't know, 4 or 5 months now. And it's been a bit of a challenge taking care of her. I'll go more into detail about that in just a little bit. But so a lot of my time is just kind of taken up looking after her. I don't get a lot of sleep at night, so I'm also too tired to just set up a camera and film a video and compose my thoughts. So my thoughts are going to be a bit jumbled here. I do apologize for that, but I thought I'd go ahead and start a fire and, before the end of the year, just catch you up on what I've been reading and just touch base with you again. So the last video I had mentioned I was reading Cameron Chaney's book Autumn Crow. I'm reading it on my Kindle, so I don't have a physical copy to show you. And I luckily took some notes on it, so I'm going to refer to my notes here as to my thoughts on the book. It is a collection of short stories all centered around a fictional town called Autumn Crow, where it seems to be perpetually Halloween, and Halloween's always perfect. Not like the Halloweens I remember as a kid where it was always snowing or raining, and I don't even remember what I was wearing, what costumes I had on, because all I ever remember is having like a winter coat on top of them. But anyway. So it's a collection of short stories, and I'm just going to go over kind of each one briefly. The first one was called Follow Me In, which is the story of a couple separated by death. Some 30 years have passed since the person passed away. And the other one is kind of visiting the cove where they used to spend a lot of time. And what I like is it's very ambiguous with regards to the gender of the individuals. I mean, it could be a gay or straight couple. It doesn't really matter. The focus is more on the love and the loss of that person. And I can almost hear like a melancholy tone kind of throughout the story as I was reading it. I don't know, it gave that kind of vibe to it. And I also liked there was like sort of an unexpected hint at possibly something evil at the end of the story. The second one was Pumpkin Light. It's another story dealing with grief about a young girl remembering assisting an old woman in reuniting with her late husband. I thought it was a very sweet story. I really enjoyed that one. There's another one called Burnt Brownies. It's a story of a brother and a sister and the mysterious burnt stranger that only one of them can see. Then there's Frost. It's a story of a young teen that runs away from home, but all roads lead to one destination and sort of an unavoidable fate. That was really good too. Then there's Saving Face, about a Halloween attraction that gets an unwelcome assistant. And I felt this was kind of one of the weakest stories. It felt a bit drawn out to me, and I couldn't really connect with the characters or what was going on. That one was probably my least favorite of them. Then there was Crypt TV. This is set outside of Autumn Crow, but it's tied to the town by former residents. One of them living, and one of them dead. That was really awesome. And then the end of the collection, there's a novella called There Are Monsters Here. I had read it once before. It's kind of reattached to this particular collection of stories. And it's a story of a family slowly being destroyed by monsters, and then how one of the boys decides to face and kill off his monster. And the monsters are cleverly kept ambiguous, and the reader's left to kind of speculate as to whether they are real or symbolic. Sorry, I keep getting text right in the middle of this. What I like about these stories in this collection, and the way Cameron kind of hides a sort of hidden meaning to the stories. There's more to just ghosts or supernatural or horror within the stories. There's deeper emotions, like I said, with this stories of grief and dealing with inner demons and things like that. And I just like the way he kind of works that way into the story, and you get a lot more than just a simple ghost story. So I really enjoy it, and I highly recommend you pick him up. Next. Yeah, if I can get my picture here. Again, this was my audiobook that I was listening to. This was Mallory by Josh Mallerman. This is a sequel to Bird Box, which was a phenomenal hit. I love that story about these mysterious creatures that suddenly appear on the planet, and if you happen to see them, they drive you mad. So everyone's sort of walking around blindfolded for fear of, succumbing to this madness, and not only are these creatures dangerous because you could drive you to your own suicide, but it also, because it's driving people mad, they're a danger to you as well. So Mallory, our main character, is having to navigate through this world, and in the first book she takes this really arduous journey down the river in a paddle boat with 2 young children, seeking some place where she heard is like supposed to be safe. Now this book here, Mallory, is about a decade later, these children that she was traveling with are grown. They refer to her as Mom. And she's like constantly on them to, are you wearing your mask? Are you, making sure you're being protective? And apparently there's a new element of danger to these creatures that creeps up in this story. But I felt it was a bit of a rehash. It was just kind of the same thing because she ends up having to make another arduous journey with the children to some place of supposed safety. And also there's another destination that she's aiming for, which I won't go into. But I just felt it was kind of repetitive of the first one. And it didn't really improve on the story. There's apparently, like I said, another element to the danger that these creatures pose to people and how they can affect you. It was only slightly interesting, but it wasn't enough in this story. I was also, because I was listening to it in audio too, I was constantly annoyed by the continuous mom. If the kids wanted to say something, could they just not say it? Did they have to say mom all the time? And then she just keeps going on, and it's like they just say, wait, no, I want to do this, or no, look out, or whatever. Just say something, but just mom. It was like I'd like to have gone through the story and counted how many times that word popped up, but I was listening to it on audio. But anyway, it kind of annoyed me. I didn't enjoy it. I think if you read or listen to Bird Box alone, that's plenty. I don't know. It just didn't do much for me. If you read it, let me know down below what you guys thought of it. But to me, it just didn't seem to be that much of an improvement or a worthwhile continuation of the story. After that, I read another ebook. This is The House Next Door by Darcy Coates. This is, I believe, my third Darcy Coates novel. Another ghostly kind of horror book. She is great at like the haunted house kind of stories. I really enjoy her writing. It just sucked me right in. This is about, told from the first person, of a young woman named Jo. She lives next to the Marwick house, which is haunted. She's lived there for about 4 years. And she's seen a lot of people come and go, usually in a big hurry, including the last owners of the house. They left in the middle of the night, a bit noisy and enough to wake her up, and they left everything behind, never to return. So now someone else is moving in. She's always been fascinated by this house, but never really connected with any of the people. And she decides, when she sees this young woman, who she'll come to learn is named Anna, moving in, she decides to kind of welcome her to the neighborhood and takes her first kind of foray towards the house, and ends up developing a relationship, a friendship with Anna, and feels a strong bond with her, and decides to tell her a bit about the house. And craziness ensues. It was just a really, really great haunted house kind of story. I really enjoyed it. I like the characters within it, and like I said, she does a really great job of setting the atmosphere, and I love the way even the neighborhood responds to the house. They will shut their blinds. They won't look at the house. They won't mention the house. It's just creepy vibes all in all. But I really like her writing, and I'm looking forward to reading a lot more. I know she's got a huge stack. In fact, Cameron Chaney, who I mentioned, the author of Autumn Crow, he has his own little horror channel on YouTube, and I saw one night he did a haul of all of Darcy Coates' novels, or at least a majority of them, and it was huge, and I'm looking forward to just diving right into the rest of them. Next up, I downloaded a book called Remember Me by Eileen Anderson. This is subtitled Loving and Caring for a Dog with Canine Cognitive Dysfunction. And this is where I'm referring to Skippy. She was diagnosed with canine cognitive dysfunction this year, probably around September or so. So we've been dealing with this for about 3 months-ish. But I think she probably had some signs of that earlier. And basically it's doggy dementia, but on a bit different level. There's lots of things that the dogs will do, and I've seen a lot of these symptoms, kind of getting stuck in various areas, staring at walls, circling, pacing, and that's where our lack of sleep has kind of come in. She paces a lot at night. So in daytime she'll sleep fairly well, big long naps and stuff, but at nighttime she's just kind of looking around. She'll get up, she'll walk, and I have to kind of keep her kind of confined. So I'm currently filming in my bedroom, which I haven't spent this much time in here since September, since Skippy's surgery on her paw to remove a rather large cyst between her toes. I slept on the floor with her because that threw her off balance with the bandage and everything. But we also have the added problem. She has a bit of arthritis in her back leg. So that also makes her back right leg kind of curve in sometimes, and it'll throw her off balance, and add that to this dysfunction now where she kind of wants to keep getting up. So she used to sleep on the bed with me, and I can't risk her falling off the bed. So neither one of us have been in this room in months. So I have a extra mattress, a small little twin mattress we put in the family room, and that's on the floor, and her bed's right next to me, and sometimes she's either sleeping on the floor, in her bed, or on my mattress, and that's where we spend most of the time. Some of the other things that she does, and I'll try and put a clip in here if I can connect it, or edit it in. The dogs can also forget how to eat and drink, and Skippy drinks from like the far side of the bowl, but I think instead of scooping the water up like they're supposed to do with their tongue, she's sort of like licking. So there's worries that she wasn't drinking enough. Recently, within the past, I think, week or two, she's always been a really, really good eater. She wants to eat everything, you know, that's her thing. But now even food's kind of off, and we've tried everything, various, you know, she's been on soft food for her teeth, mixing it with rice, mixing it with water or broth, putting on different food toppers, chicken, everything. And it's like she's just exceedingly picky. I still see hints of an appetite there, so it's not like completely gone or anything like that. But went shopping today, brought home like a whole rotisserie chicken. I can't tell you how many chickens we've gone through, but it was nice and piping hot, and I gave her some and she gobbled it up, and it was just so heartening to see her have that you know, enjoyment of, you know, finding something she really likes and eating again. But I know if I give it her tomorrow, she might not want it. So this is what you find out within the book, all these various symptoms. And Eileen had a dog, I think she's a Jack Russell Terrier named Cricket, who also was starting to had exhibited these signs and stuff like that. And in the end, she compiled all the information she had gathered. She's not a vet or a doctor or anything like that. This is just a person writing about her experiences and communicating with her vet, as I have been dealing with my vet, and learning about all the various medications that are out there, the ways to protect your dog. And it's an invaluable reference for people who are going through this with their pet. I have also joined a Facebook group that is focused on dogs with canine cognitive dysfunction, and that has been an invaluable resource. In fact, that's where I've heard about this book and this recommendation to read it. And within the book too, as an ebook, there's links to YouTube videos and things like that that you can click on. So it's kind of nice having it as an ebook rather than a physical copy. But it, like I said, it discusses the various medications. Skippy is on 2 medications, one in the morning, one in the evening, to kind of help cope with that sundowners, which is when she's asleep during the day and awake at night. And it's helped a bit. She only gets up maybe twice during the night now, as opposed to like almost constant pacing. And it does kind of help calm her, but I think the next thing might be like, I don't know, to look into something for like an appetite stimulant. I was going to say not suppressant. I might have to look into something along that lines maybe next if this kind of continues downhill, because I can't let her lose any more weight. So it's been rough. So that's one of the reasons you don't see me on here very much. So you know, Skippy's my top priority. Moving along, I have been watching, because sometimes that's just easier than reading, I've been watching Netflix, and I kind of latched onto the Umbrella Academy. A little late to the party. I watched all of it, the 2 seasons that are out. Absolutely fantastic. So I thought, I'm going to check out the source material. So I picked up the ebook version again of the graphic novel. This is the first one. I don't remember the subtitle of it, but anyway, that's volume 1. I think it was The White Violin. And then that's volume 2. That's Dallas. And big disappointment. I like the artwork. It's pretty cool, with the exception of the way one of the characters is drawn. But anyway, the concept of Umbrella Academy is 47 children are born around the world suddenly to women who didn't even realize they were pregnant, all on the same day. And this millionaire inventor guy named Reginald Hargreaves ends up adopting like 7. That's all he was able to adopt. And when people question him, like, oh, why are you doing this? To save the world is his response. So he knows something's coming that nobody else seems to know. How he knows it, you know, the way the story evolves, you kind of will find out little bits and things along the way. But he's only able to adopt 7, and apparently at least 6 of them, as you first the story unrolls, 6 of them have some kind of abilities, powers, and they end up with these weird nicknames, like Seance is one of them. This Klaus is in the story, the TV series. He's able to communicate with the dead. There's another guy who's like super good with knives and he can hit any target. And then there's number 5 who can kind of time jump. And in the TV series, the kid playing him is just phenomenal. He's like super sarcastic. He's just really witty and great. I loved all the characters on the TV series, but they just fell flat in the graphic novel. The graphic novel's like all over the place. It's very disjointed, and there doesn't seem any kind of flow from point A to point B with the storyline. And I just couldn't follow it. And if you're interested in the Umbrella Academy, definitely check it out. It's on Netflix. Probably will come out on DVD if it hasn't already. Highly recommend it in visual form, not so much in the graphic novel form. Yeah, that's still visual. You know what I mean. Moving on, I also read Cemetery Boys. This is by Aiden Thomas. This is their YA debut novel. It is Known Voices, Latinx, queer, paranormal / mystery story that was really, really good. This is a story of Yadriel. He is having a hard time getting his family to accept his gender, and also to accept him as a brujo. In his culture and his family, a brujo is someone who can summon spirits and also release spirits who have become trapped on Earth through whatever means. But if they're on Earth too long, sometimes they can start to turn evil and stuff like that. But anyway, he wants to go through this ceremony called the Quinces, so he'll be accepted as a brujo and kind of get his like abilities, his powers through Lady Death, who's like their spirit. But anyway, his father just keeps denying him the Quinces ceremony. I think he's probably thinking that it might not work since Yadriel is trans. But he decides he's going to go through with the ceremony on his own. So he appears along with his cousin Maritza, I always want to say it that way, I don't know why. Maritza, his cousin, she's a very good ally for him, and she helps him with the ceremony. And no spoiler, because it's kind of within the description. It's a success, basically. Lady Death accepts him as a brujo. He's given the powers and the abilities. And at the very beginning of the story, slightly after the ceremony takes place, he, along with his cousin, Maritza, who's a bruja, brujas are able to kind of heal people. Although there's a ceremony that they do that has to involve like animal blood. So she's not a practicing bruja because she's vegan and she doesn't want anything to do with that side of the ceremony. So anyway, both of them, with their ties to the family, are able to sense the sudden death of their cousin Miguel. It's very feeling like very violent. Something serious has happened to them. And when they go back to the family, they don't reveal that he's gone through the Quinces yet. That all that is kind of kept hidden from his family for quite some time, because now they're dealing with this sudden loss of their cousin. No one knows why. No one can find a body. So something strange is going on. And Yadriel sets out to try and connect with the spirit of his missing cousin. And he finds an object he thinks maybe belongs to his cousin. He tries to summon the spirit that would be connected to it, and instead summons the spirit of Julian. And it's Julian Diaz. He's actually like the resident bad boy from the school that they had gone to. And he also had disappeared quite suddenly. In fact, his spirit doesn't even realize at first that he's dead. And then remembers he was with a bunch of his friends, and now he's worried that his friends are in danger. So All this is sort of still in the pretty much description in the beginning. So the two have set out to kind of help each other, and I really like the relationship that develops. It develops quite deeply and romantically, but I like the way they both have an acceptance of each other. They see the good in each other. Julian never questions the fact that Yadriel is male. He wonders though, who he's trying to prove things to. Is he trying to prove stuff to his family or to himself? It's just really wonderful, emotional, and watching the characters are very well developed. Some surprises within the storyline, but I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it very much. So I'm looking forward to this author's next novel. I believe it's coming out pretty soon, if not already out. I think it's still due out. I don't remember the name of it, but I'm going to be looking forward to the next book that they write. The other book that I finished is just a very tiny little one, near and dear to my heart, my love of Flintstones. I came across this at work. It's a tiny little book. This is The Flintstones, that's all it's called, by Jerry Beck. And it's just got a bit of a history of it. It's cute because there's like under the cover, there's Fred and the two of them fishing. And it's funny because my dad and his friend used to go fishing, and I think of Barney Rubble as his friend down the street there. And there's also this cute little pocket in the beginning here that's got some stickers. And I'll show those really quickly. Cute little Flintstone sticker. So it's basically a history of the show. I actually have that on a mask. There's Fred. And little family there. So it was cute finding those little stickers still intact. I bought this used at the used bookstore, so it was surprising that was still included in there. And yeah, there's a history of the show, how the characters were developed, who created them, the voices of them, how the voices changed and some were replaced. There's the theme song in there and how that wasn't really developed until, or even aired, until season 3. So there's the theme song, if you'd like to know the words. And it is slightly coming apart. That just started. I don't know. Well, it looks like the glue is starting to go on that, which is kind of sad. But the show was like 6 seasons long, and I now own all 6 seasons. I grew up watching the show, so I thoroughly enjoy it. But anyway, that's everything I've read so far. In terms of what I'm currently reading, I'm reading Bounty Hunter, Rake and Scrape by Rachel Akkus. This is the 4th book in the series. I think it looks like Boba Fett, but actually it's just a bounty hunter. They go after criminals. This is sort of a post-apocalyptic book that feels like a Western at the same time, due to the events of almost like a nuclear war and pandemic and everything, that people were living underground for some time, and now the Earth has kind of become safe, I guess, to be inhabited. Some people have moved up to the surface of the planet. Bounty hunters sort of like keep the peace because there isn't really any law and order going on around there. And Joe, our main character, is just great. He's one of the bounty hunters. I don't want to go into all detail. I've kind of mentioned the series before. It just continues to just draw me in. The characters are fantastic. I really like Rachel's writing. She wrote the Deadland Saga, based on Dante's Inferno. It was a zombie apocalypse story. I just love everything she's written so far. So I'm deeply involved in this. She creates such wonderful characters, and this has a lot of action going on in it. You never know who's going to be safe. She likes to play around with you. You know, like, oh, you're going to really like this guy. Oh, they're gone. Oh, that person. Oh, they're gone. Anyway, I'm about maybe halfway through on this one right now. Like I said, thoroughly enjoying it. I believe there's supposed to be 2 more books in the series. So I'm looking forward to them when they come out as well. Next up, my audiobook for currently this month is The Collapsing Empire by John Scalzi. You'll see that. Let me see. Try it that way. Not pretty much. This is the first in, I believe, a trilogy, kind of a space opera type story. It is narrated by Will Wheaton. One of the main reasons I got it, because he does narrate quite a few John Scalzi's books. Apparently, they are friends. And he does a fantastic job of all the books he narrates, and he just sucks you in. So does John Scalzi. I really like his stories. This one, not so much. It's a bit more complicated. There are a lot of characters. They usually have such strange names. Sometimes it's interesting, sometimes it's a bit, oh god, can you make it a little more complicated? But it's a very complicated, twisted plot. This is set in a world where people have kind of moved away from Earth. There are a group of planets kind of connected called the Interdependency. It's an empire ruled by the Emperor, and the way the planets are all connected, interdependency meaning they're sort of all dependent on each other, but there's no like faster than light travel. The only way these people can kind of go from planet to planet is because of the flow, which is, it's difficult to describe. I think of it as almost like a wormhole, like Farscape, or I think it's meant, they're also been mentioned in Star Trek, but a way to travel kind of quickly from point A to point B. But the problem is the flow is collapsing, and that'll be cutting off planets. So the interdependency is shrinking, and there's a lot of political maneuvering going on, and it got a little confusing. And I love the dialogue. I love the wittiness and the sarcasticness that the characters have. There's a lot of swearing in this one, more than I've come across in his other ones for some reason. But in fact, it's mentioned even one character who just can't seem to stop. But I'm not enjoying it as much as his other ones. I'm debating whether I will continue on to the next one or not. I'm not really certain. We'll see how this goes. I'm only about halfway through this one as well. But I said it's a bit more confusing, twisty plot. If I can get my head around it and straight it, I'll see if I'll continue with the next 2 books in it. And then my last thing that I'm reading currently is a physical book. I actually have a physical book to show you, and this is Shirley by Susan Scarf Merrill. I've had this for some time. This is a kind of psychological thriller. I'm just going to read the back. Make it simple on all of us. It says, 2 imposing literary figures are at the center of this captivating novel. The celebrated Shirley Jackson, author of The Lottery, and her husband, Stanley Edgar Hyman, a literary critic and professor at Bennington College. When a young graduate student and his pregnant wife Fred and Rose Nemser move into Shirley and Stanley's home in the fall of 1964, they quickly fall under the spell of their brilliant and unconventional hosts. Rose forms an unlikely friendship with the darkly enigmatic Shirley. Nonetheless, Rose senses something amiss, something to do with nightly unanswered phone calls and a long-missing female student. Chillingly evocative of Jackson's own classic stories, Shirley is an elegant thriller with one of America's greatest horror writers at its heart. So I have a collection of Shirley Jackson's books. I had meant to read my way through them, other than a few that I've already read, like We Have Always Lived in the Castle. I read that some time ago, and I did read the short story The Lottery, and I don't have the one here now, but I read her first book that she published, and I never got into the rest of them. I have them all sitting here, so someday I do hope to pick up the rest of her books, but just decided to pick this one up. Something about the cover just called to me, and I just felt like reading something slightly spooky. Probably not ghostly, it's more, like I said, a psychological thriller, but I just was in the mood. So anyway, that is everything I've been reading currently. Like I said, if I can, I will insert some clips either earlier of Skippy or at the end, so you can see her when she wakes up. So thanks for watching, thanks for sticking with me on my channel, and I hope you guys all have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. Stay safe, and I will see you again later. Bye-bye. Say hi, Skip. You hiding?